we have the Minister of Tourism and the Attorney General, and so we get 3 for 1. So they're going to each bring greetings. So if you just hold your question, make notes, and then Anita will take over after the Attorney General and the Minister of Tourism have spoken.
A pleasant good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
May I adopt the protocol as presented before me? For those who don't know me, my name is Lindsay Grant. I'm the Minister of Tourism, International Trade, Commerce and Industry. I'll be very brief. I heard Timothy saying he's from Tabernacle. Well, I was born in West Farm and I grew up in Sandy Point. In fact, when I came this afternoon, I met a gentleman and he said his name was Richards, I think his last name was. And I indicated to him that he must have been from Sandy Point because my mother was a Richards from Sandy Point. And he said to me, we will have to talk later. I suspect what that means is somewhere down the road, we are family. But I want to say how pleased I am this afternoon to be here. It's not the first time I'm in Slough delivering a message to nationals, because in fact, round about 2000, when I had the opportunity of leading the People's Action Movement, I came here when I was just a leader and spoke to a gathering such as this. But I want to say this afternoon, we are on the cusp of history. Because when I came here at that time, 15 years ago, I came as the leader of the People's Action Movement. And 15 years later, I am here as part of a government of national unity. And it is important for you to understand what this government of national unity is all about. For me, it is about St. Kitts and Nevis. It is about giving St. Kitts and Nevis the best talent that we can give it at this particular time. It is the best mix we can give the country at this particular time. I have said too long have we been divided among political lines. And the time is now to change that for the better of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a golden opportunity in this government to not proceed with business as usual, but to ensure that everything that we do is for the betterment of our nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think if we hold that challenge dear to our hearts and our minds, we would have a wonderful St. Kitts and Nevis going forward. And you heard the Honorable Prime Minister outline the vision earlier about what we are trying to do. But since my time is short, because we want to hear from you, I will just give you one example of what he said earlier this afternoon, and which is what this government is about. As the Minister of Tourism, I'm in charge of the music festival. And for years we have been outfitting and paying persons from overseas to film the music festival at a significant cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And young people weren't given an opportunity in St. Kitts and Nevis to do that which I think they could have done. And because we campaigned on a platform of fairness for all, and not only that, but ensuring that our young people are given the best available opportunities to them for progress, I decided that I was going to put my money on the young people in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so for the first time I decided that instead of sending hundreds of thousands of dollars overseas, I was going to depend on the talent of our kitchens and divisions. And when I threw it out to my team, they disagreed with me that we should still bring in the persons from outside to do the job. And I said to them that we had a campaign pledge that we would ensure that our young people are engaged at the highest level. And I said to them, I was going to put my neck on the block for the young people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I could come here this afternoon to tell you that as I was on the grounds of the music festival, and I think on the Friday evening, a young man who was part of the film crew came over to me and he said, I want to thank you and the government for putting your trust in the young people. Because if you look here tonight, we have 19 young people who are part of this music festival at the highest level, filming and doing a production that is going to go international. 19 young people whose talent we invested in, whose talent we gave the opportunity to perform, and I must tell you, they performed par excellence. And so in closing, I want to say to you that the many things that we've done, sometimes I say to myself, we've been in government for 5 years, but it is only 5 months. We have done an enormous amount of work. But you have, and the people who are in St. Kitts have put their trust and their confidence in us to do the people's work. And so we continue to do their work and your work. And so I want to say to you, you can expect that with this team, we are going to deliver, not for us, but for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening to everyone. Yeah, as His Excellency has said, I'm Vincent Byron, Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications. And as both my two colleagues, Prime Minister Dr. Harris and Minister Lindsey Grant have said, I think it's just fair that I claim as to who I am. My father, Vincent Byron, hails from Bath Village, Nevis. And so I'm one of those Byrons. Cecil Byron, magistrate, and Spencer Byron, Theodore, Howard, the Byron brothers from Bath Village, Nevis. My mother was in O'Loughlin. Philip says her mother was from Diabé as well. So I'm from St. Kitts and Nevis. I think it's important to tell you how good it is to be here with you. Petitions, divisions, well-wishers. I think it's important for us to feel that the turnout here today shows us that there are people who live in the diaspora who believe in their homeland. They hail from a land which they claim to be home still. And many of you have journeyed overseas for better life in search of doing better than what we left at home. And when you come to hear what's happening, it makes us feel good. Because we want to be able to assure you that we And St. Kitts and Nevis will do whatever we have to do to make the place better, raise the standard of living for all of our people, and build a good country for which you can be proud. I think we are a government of national unity. And I want just very briefly to let you know what that is. It is a government made up by representatives from the People's Labour Party, which is an offshoot of the St. Kitts Labour Party. Prime Minister Harris is the leader of that party. And as he has told you, he has served in the parliament for 20 years before this. He has been a minister in almost every portfolio. And I'm sure you will never find one other prime minister in the entire Caribbean who has had that experience before they became prime minister. So we have been very fortunate to have Prime Minister Harris lead us. Along with Prime Minister Harris was a long-time stalwart of the Labour Party, Mr. Sam Conda, who is now our UN ambassador, Honorable His Excellency Sam Conda, who too had been Deputy Prime Minister under the last Labour administration and had been for many years a stalwart of the Labour Party. And they had come to believe that the direction of the Labour Party under the previous administration had gone off the rails and felt compelled to branch out on their own and form their own party. They are based on a social platform of working with poor people, people in the working class people, to be better for them. The unity government also has with it the Concerned Citizens Movement of Nevis, the CCM. In Nevis, you have two parties, the CCM and the NRP, the Nevis Reformation Party. They've always contested against each other and have never felt inclined to be engaged in St. Kitts politics. They felt Nevis was for Nevis, the All Kitchens stay out of the business. And similarly, they never came to St. Kitts to campaign. And so this campaign, we had for the very first time, divisions coming to St. Kitts to speak on political platforms and get engaged in the government of the country, not just Nevis, but St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course you have the People's Action Movement, which, like the Labour Party, has been a long-standing party, formed in 1965, 50 years this year. It's a mature party whose members were prepared to give up, trying to form a government on their own, to join with these other two parties to fashion a government that would solve some of the very serious challenges we had in St. Kitts and Nevis for the better of the government. Some of those challenges are quickly. You would have recalled that just a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we had one of the world's largest national debts. Japan was the only other country that had a larger national debt per capita than St. Kitts and Nevis. $3 billion. And as a result of that, we were forced to go to the IMF and take some very stringent measures to try and improve our luck. And one of those measures that they did was to take a significant amount of land and swap it for that debt. So we were given away the patrimony that our leaders before, Bradshaw, Southwell, Simmons, had fought for. in order to solve what had been a certain amount of negligence, wanton display of spending money by the previous administration. And I think that was the tipping. That's what tipped the balance. And so in December of 2012, these three groups came together. They were in Parliament. PAM had 2 members in Parliament, Labour, the PLP had 2, the CCM had 2. And they came together to file with the clerk of the National Assembly a motion of no confidence in the sitting government. And for 2 years, the government of the day conspired not to have that motion of no confidence heard. It was something that was never seen in the Commonwealth Caribbean before. It's something that ate away at the heart of our democracy. So that when Prime Minister Harris says that the whole idea of the government of national unity was to restore democracy in St. Kitts and Nevis, this here was at the heart of what it was. There had been an abuse of our constitution, a violation of our constitutional principles for 2 years. Not just in terms of a motion of no confidence, which was never tabled, has never been tabled, even today. The government dissolved without it being tabled. But as it became obvious to the government of the day that people in St. Kitts and Nevis were getting fed up with the manner in which our rights, our constitutional rights were being trampled on. They went further and tried to manipulate the election process, the electoral process, by trying to change the boundaries, manipulate the boundaries to get an unfair advantage. And many of you would have heard and would know of what transpired on the 16th of January this year, when within weeks of the Parliament having to be dissolved automatically, the government tried to go into Parliament without any notice to members of Parliament and tried to pass a resolution to change the boundaries on a report that had been completed at 4:45. I will tell you just briefly. I was a member of the Constitutional Boundaries Commission for the last 2 years. I sat in that meeting. The meeting was to be at 1, it didn't start until 2. And when we completed the meeting at 4:45 to finish the report, I did not know there was going to be Parliament that afternoon. I was informed at 4:05 that there was a meeting at 4:15. And at 4:15, there was a mad rush to quickly pass this resolution to change the Parliament, change the boundaries, and at 6:05, the resolution had been passed, Parliament was dissolved, and so we were to rush into election to try a smartness. Well, it's now history that we fought that very quickly in the courts. We went to court and got a injunction that was overturned, that was appealed to the Court of Appeal, another injunction that was overturned, and then we went to the Privy Council, and at the Privy Council level, it was upheld ultimately. But I say all of that to say that at the heart of the government of national unity has been and will be an insistence that we will do everything as based on one principle, and that is the principle of good governance. We will uphold the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. We will obey the rule of law, and we will follow the administration of justice to the hilt. It's critical that we do so, because I would say that this breakdown in governance, in good governance in our country, has led to a number of ills, a number of problems, and we find in all facets of life in the governance in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we are committed to restore principles of fairness, principles of, based on the rule of law, to be able to make a better way for our people. I give you a small example. For many years, St. Kitts and Nevis have been respected in the world and had been able to enjoy visa-free travel to many countries, over 130 countries. Countries of Europe, the Schengen countries, and many others throughout the world, including Canada. Last year, that was withdrawn. And it was withdrawn because our international partners had become very disturbed and had lost confidence in St. Kitts and Nevis to police the way in which we granted citizenship to people who could qualify. Our government, without any knowledge to us, the citizens, withdrew from your passport, our passports, the place of origin. So a St. Kitts Nevis passport, if you got one between the January 2012 and July 2014, did not say that you're a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. That was taken out of your passport. So you had a passport that didn't say where you were born, where you were from. And one or two other things like that, that were seen to be unacceptable, not just by the Canadians, by the United States, the British, and the Europeans, have put in jeopardy one of our very important programs, the Citizenship by Investment Program, that last year brought in something more than 30% of the revenues to the country. And so these important international partners had lost confidence in our government. Last year, it was that the United States government had issued an advisory against St. Kitts because they claimed that illicit actors had been using our passports to get access to the United States of America. And so our task as a new government is very clear. We will insist that we will do things by the book. We will follow the Constitution, repeat again, uphold the Constitution, the rule of law, and the administration of justice. I just want to say, I don't want to talk too long, I must be a little long already.
I'm just going to draw your attention.
Yes, but it's very important that we establish here today that as a government of national unity, we are very happy to be here with you to establish the principles on which we would want to operate. Prime Minister Harris has indicated that we also would have, as a second plank, the issue of having a prosperity agenda for our young people and all our citizens. And once again, thank you for having us, and we wish that you will have questions that we can answer. and wish you well as we go forward. Thank you very much.